Okay, so let's review, just get the flow. There's two levels of teichacha, of rebuke. That's the conclusion of the Tzemach Tzedek and explaining why the beginning of Sefer Dvarim, Moishe only alludes to his rebuke. But then later he spells it out. So if the issue here is Kvoiden Shel Yisrael, the honor of the Jewish people, so then that's why he does it beremes, yet later he's explicit. So you remember the Ramah's answer? Tzemach Tzedek said it was a h'tשכ. The Ramah, I assume it's a Moishe, that's the author of the Moishe Israelis, that's the Shulchan Aruch primary commentator. No, he answers what? Bottom of the page. I don't know, I have a different layout than you. I don't know what you have. At the end of that first ois, the Ramah says he was testing the waters. He was seeing if they were, not going to resist. And so therefore he first tested he rebuked them only by illusion. He saw that they accepted it, then he went on to rebuke them openly. That's the Ramah's teretz, and the Tzemach Tzedek says it's a h'tשכ. And what's his answer? Who does he quote from? He goes, dive straight to where?
The Ramaz.
Yeah, Kabbalah, and explains that there's two levels of teichacha. One that addresses the low levels of the neshama and nefesh ruach neshama, and then there's a teichacha rebuke that addresses the transcendent levels of the neshama chayin yichida. Or in the words of actually he says there's a gvuris of, that's the levels of the neshama. The parallel, the maila is the gvuris of Abba ve'ima, which are concealed. The gvura doesn't explain it here. We're going to leave it at that. But the dimension of gvura in chachma and bin is concealed, and that's called hanistori /Hashem Elokeinu, the hidden alma diskasya, the hidden world. And the second, which is open rebuke, is to fix zun, that's the midas, and behavior, malchus, nukva, which are revealed, that's the vave, the parallel is the vave, lamaila, v'haniglois, and that which is revealed, that is vavhe. The Eibishter invests and reveals his midas and his word in creation, that's niglois lona. So hence, accordingly to the two levels of rebuke. And the Moed Dikavot in Mois Beis that Adarabba to affect and rebuke the transcendent levels, the deeper levels, the Chaya Yechid of a person, which is the Makiv, so that is enough, we might add, only really, Beremiza. We addressed it yesterday, only by hinting. By a nod, by a wink, by a raised eyebrow that really addresses not what you did, but you. Whereas a whole long speech addresses what you did, and that's got to be addressed too. That's the low level. That's nefesh ruach neshama, the levels that are invested in the guf, that corresponds to the vav and the hey. So Moishe Rabbeinu did both. And what's interesting is the order. First, he starts with the essence, with a nod, with a hint. And when that is stirred and aligned, then we can, it's interesting, the order, then we can deal with the details and the practicality and the applications, and they go a heck of a lot smoother. A heck of a lot smoother than starting from the bottom up and trying to fix and clean and rearrange all kinds of behavioral patterns and so on. If the core is shaken a bit in a very subtle, it doesn't take long, a moment, then the rest will follow. That's the tshuva of shaita chod and the riga chod. The tshuva is in a moment. That's that level of tshuva. It's just a moment of, a sobering moment, like, where am I? And then you deal with all the things. So that's dafke, but it is. Yeah, so we started learning, Ois Gimel. So he connects this, the Rebbe connects it with the Alter Rebbe, with Likutei Torah, the second Maimer on Pashas Devorim. I'm going to leave some blanks, fill it in. The Pasuk says, L'chuna v'nivochacha, come now, says God, let us debate, but it's this vikuach, it's this heichacha, this rebuke. It actually interestingly says, I'll rebuke you, you rebuke me. This is two ways. I'm ready to listen. But anyway, the emphasis here is our cleansing. So if you're, no, help me. The first part of the pasuk, Chata'echem kashonim, if it'll be crimson, red, whatever it is, then kasheleg yalbino, the first level is it'll be like snow. I'll clean it, I'll whiten it like snow. Im yadimu katoyle, if it'll be red like this worm that produces a red dye that's found in these specific kernels, whatever that what is, this is, it's called Teilas Shoni. Chumash, Pashas Truma. Then Katseme Yiyu, then I'll make you like wool. So there's two things in the pasuk here. There is, I'll whiten like snow and lighten white wool. Which is higher?
Summer.
Yeah. So the snow, he says, what darga is that? Tell me, what's the darga? What is the Eibishter revealing to wash away and clean and transform and whiten? What level is that when it's sheleg?
Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim.
That's Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim. And that is, he adds, Shal Zen Emma Vatik Yoimin Yosef Levushe Katelek Chiver, which means on this level, this pasuk applies, and there's an important word there that he wants to bring out. Katelek, like snow, chiver, you'll be whitened. But how is this described? Atik Yoim, in the ancient of days, the Eibishter is sitting, Yosef, levushe, his garment is white snow, garbed in white snow. So this darga given with the sarachamim is the hin of levush, which levush means a tailored level, not utterly is pshitus. It's not purely transcendent. It's tailored. So the darga of sheleg is a levush. But semer, interestingly, wool, it's a higher madrege, and that is also in the pasuk there in Daniel. V'sa'ar reishe k'omar noka, the hair of his head, like wool, is clean as wool. Head already, that's not a levush, that's the person, that's the atzmis. That's higher than levush. And that's a chesed of the ancient. I'm telling you, what darga is that? Tell me. What darga is sheleg, which is sar reishe, k'omar nekei, and Lashon Nikia, it's Aramaic, but it's like similar to the Hebrew word. No? What darga is this?
Chesed Elyon. Chesed Elyon.
Chesed Ein Sof, where there's no taruvas din at all.
Yeah.
No, there's a mixture of din in snow. So there's an element of chesed, but an element of judgment. It's held back a little bit. It's not that just complete, uncompromised chesed. That's the darga of sheleg. But the darga of tzemer is no taruvas of din. Snow is cold and wool warms. I don't know if that's connected. I don't know. Like white snow. So that's what iktsas of his din. So what does he conclude? We're up to V'yeshloim. I think V'yeshloim. Everybody has the place. Folks, yeah, V'yeshloim.
It's 2 lines after number 11.
After number 11, 3 lines down from number 11. We said, we'll just say, what's the parallel, these two levels of sheleg? Snow and wool, b'avedis adam. In the sheleg, avedis of snow is the aveda, the lower level, levush, garment, tailored. definition, namely, that's the conscious level of the person, nefesh, ruach, neshama, seichel, his midas, his behavior. V'tzemer and wool, in avodah, that's where he says, the Eibush mitzad b'chinas cha yichida. Cha yichida is, I want you, and yichida is, I'm a part of you. Sham shochas beis amadrek the shelek v'tzemer. So to draw down these two levels of divine revelation of cleansing, the level of midas harachman, which is shelek, and the level of the chesed, the ein sof, which is tzemer, heimal yadei lechuna v'nivachacham. So what brings it down is inyan rebuke. That's what opens it up. But there's two kinds. And accordingly, there's two kinds of tichacha. Tichacha, a gula, an open, revealed one. And that addresses that addresses the avodah, the conscious level, and the details of all of that, mind, heart, behavior. So to cleanse that when the avodah is serving God on that level, but not beyond that. So then God is forgiving, but what level of forgiveness? Shelek, which is tailored, which is a levush. It's not boundless because you're not serving him boundlessly. So he responds in kind, as it were. This is a relationship. But the hidden techacha, maybe says, I need more than just your behavior, and I want you. So that's the techacha nistora. That's the subtle techacha. First of all, because God can't even articulate how much he wants us, so it's subtle. The avodah where we're giving ourselves over, not just in terms of behavior and intellectually and emotionally, but we're giving ourselves over. So what's the techacha there? What arouses that? That's the techacha nistora, hidden techacha, subtle. That arouses the chesed ein sof, the absolute, unqualified, uncompromised love, chesed of the Eibishter. Interestingly, just by the way, and the Rebbe endorsed this, homeopathy. What's on the code of homeopathy is the smaller the amount, the more penetrates the essence. Diluted and diluted and diluted and diluted and diluted, 1,000 times how much they diluted. Whatever they're diluting, and you take a drop or two, they don't even care how much, doesn't matter. Just the smaller, why? Because you want to address, that's what they're trying to, the Rebbe said, I heard this first from the grandson. He's in Baltimore, the Mashpia. His father is in
Bucket?
Huh? No. It's in Belgium. His father, not his father.
Slavatitsky.
Yeah, Slavatitsky. So he told me that the Rebbe told his grandfather in Yechidus is Ufgetan Greise Sachen, homeopathy. They've done incredible things, but he added, you have to be careful. Not everybody that hangs up a sign, homeopath is a homeopath. Make sure you get the right one. But the Rebbe endorsed this, and it's an atmisdik thing. It's etzem. It's get to the core, and Andrab, the smaller, the more illusion, the subtler, that's what penetrates. And Machalit's in life that way. The biggest impression you make on your children is not your grand speeches and the grand moments. It's just the small ways you behave and interact. That goes right into the core. It's not filtered. It goes right to the core, and that makes the deepest and most lasting impression. So after he's Dalet v'yesh lahaisif. So we're talking about these two levels of techacha, two levels of avodah. It all starts with Torah. Torah is the blueprint for everything. So the content, the meaning here of these two levels of techacha are found in Torah, namely techacha magul, techacha nistora, an open rebuke and a hidden one. Yeshna kefisha b'Torah, this exists in Torah. What is that? Bring in Galia the Torah. So there's a revealed aspect of Torah that spells out and talks about behavior in the millions of details, what you do, what you don't do. So the revealed That is the inspiration, the source of a detailed, opened, and manifested rebuke. Then there's Pnimius Nista the Torah. So the inner dimension of Torah, the relatively hidden level, that's a hidden Techacha. Chassidus talks about and all kinds of details of what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Talks about who you are. Neshama and the Eibishter, that's a Techacha Nistada. That stirs the very core self. But that's in the words of the Mayim Binyan Bazed, behold, what is, I'll ask you a question. Why does Siddur so frequently employ the hine, behold? Just delete the word, just go into it. Finish. Hine, behold. What do you think that's for? Anybody? But it posted nothing. It posted. Hine, behold means, wait a second. Behold, means quite simply, this is not academia. Another level. It's a pause button to the chassid, to the learn of the Maimon. But with Mister, I'm talking to you. As my father would say. That's what his name means. So what's the difference between Nigla and Pnimius? That's similar between the distinction the wool and the snow, the tzemer and wool. Both are beyond creation. Torah and Nigla is beyond creation. But there's a distinction. We said before that snow there's an element of din, of judgment, an element of limitation, and an element of limitation. But it's purely kus, uncompromised. There's no element of restraint, of holding back, of filtering, of judgment. Klal at all. Because Pnimius HaTorah is high nishtal ein bagbalas. Klal, there's no limits at all. It's a meridic thing, as he is going to say. Therefore, it's shaykh to everybody. Everybody. Not because it has no limits. Every year, no matter what level. Chassidus talks to a complex piece of Gemara doesn't talk to everybody. You got to get to that level. You got to pass a lot of tests, a lot of din, before you can tackle such a piece. But the Maimon Chassidus talks to everyone because ein bo din no akbolas lamayim mishtalshalos. Therefore, there's no akbolas. That's the next words. Tzad goyd l'malosa and adra, because it's so lofty, as it were. Harim sheches beles ad lamatamat. This chesed the Ein Sof, parallel, it's Pnimis HaTorah Chassidus. So this affects all the way down. Gam al mi shenofal lamata b'yosef. Even someone who falls very low. And this is hinted to, in fact, in Moishe Rabbeinu's subtle rebuke. And as we're saying, it's all an expression of the Chesed Ein Sof and the Pnimius of Torah. So what does he talk about? The most severe things, which he doesn't speak about when he talks about in the open rebuke. The most serious transgressions. Dizov, there's no such place as Dizov, but Dizov actually means that a lot of gold and you produce the golden Egalazov. Nothing. It's the opposite of I am Hashem, you have no other gods before me. So the Jew has fallen, and yet the Chacham Nisteres Dafke, and the pure Chesed, the pure love you. And being the Pnimis Ham Neshama is Pa'elis Gamal Mishin Nish Rachman. Let's not be say it arouses and affects even someone who stumbled even this low, fell this low. Shagam Etzla Yuchalis, by him too, there can be Inyan, the Sabcha, Chashechel, and the transforming it, all that darkness into the greatest light. I mean, to use an example, I mean, not that the example could or should even should happen, I don't know. But a husband the betrayal. And the wife's reaction, which is deeply hurt, obviously. And what's the reaction? I mean, I'm not saying this is the way to go, but this would be like, on some level. She hugs him. That is the greatest techach, that's the chesed ein sof. That in that moment, it is the shame and the regret is far deeper and instantaneous than any verbal admonition and the whole discussion. And simply, you still love me after this, Gewalt? You're not letting me go even after this. That's the greatest techach. Even now. Yeah. Please, hey. Now we'll explain another detail in the Techacha. One of the things, aside from Dizov, which is not a place, is another one. And we said that the shorish of this Techach, what Moishe Rabbeinu was revealing, was Pnimis HaTorah, and the Chesed Ein Sof, and the Teibish Tzemer. Another one is Teifel V'Lovan. Teifel V'Lovan, Rashi brings Chazana Kol HaMikra, there's no such place. So what does it mean, Teifel V'Lovan? So Rashi brings, Shetofu Al Hamon Shu Lovan. The word Toflu generally means like they attached they attached themselves. They attached themselves to the man, which is love, which is white. And they were critical of it. It doesn't have any taste. And some, in fact, say the word toflu means that it has no taste. They were arguing that there's no taste with the man. There's two meaning the word toflu: taste or attach. As in the word tefillah, which means attachment. Naftali. She said, now Yaakov will be attached to me. A teifel klicheres, so this brings on. You join together broken shards. It's called tefillah. It's a simple touch. Toflu, they attach themselves, and they criticized the man, which was white. L'chayre, that's a simple question. Masha toflu lamon, that they were critical of the man. Ein shaykh lemon lekach she'amon yelav. The problem was not that it's white. It's what color it is. The problem was it didn't have taste. It didn't feel like, didn't have, where's the beef? It didn't taste like real. It did have taste, mind you, but it didn't have the texture and everything else. So what's the white business? The Pnimis explains now. Achinyan clear. The question is clear, gentlemen. Yeah. In Yonah Shalamon, what is man? That's Pnimis HaTorah, lechem in Hashemayim, is heavenly bread and is earthly bread. Earthly bread, lechem in Ha'aretz, is nigla. And lechem in Hashemayim is Pnimis HaTorah. And it comes down to the world, like it's what he said before, that the Techacha, the subtle Techacha goes so deep that it affects transformation in the lowest levels of betrayal. This is a hemshech. So he goes on to say that what is the Rabbi from Shagam Kvishanim Shachlamato, so it is heavenly bread, but in such a way that it comes down here, it nourishes a physical body. And moreover, it remains unchanged the way it is Lamaila. It's essentially godly. Because it's so essential, it comes to every Jew. Manna was given to everyone, even the Rishoyim, the lowest. Medrash says, for the tzaddikim it came, what he prepared to eat. For the Beinanim, they had to bake it. And the Rishoyim, it was like they had to grind it, they start from scratch. Shedoka b'meduka, they had to grind it in a mortar, in a, what's it called, a pestle, a mortar. But the man came to them also. And even after it's ingested and it's transformed into flesh and blood and flesh of the body, it still remains its pshitos, lavan, lechem and shamayim, heavenly bread, upalalim, and affected them. She said, that's because it's so lofty, it's so essential, there's no limits, it affects even the Rosh. It had no limits, and that's the meaning of the whiteness. Yeah, a little bit further. And that's why it's white, and that's what the whole point. Because white represents pshitos, complete transcendence, and no limit. We'll just continue the sentence. Like it's explained in my modern of Yom Kippur, that the Kohen Gadol had to wear what? Being in big day bad, he had to wear simple white linen. The Kohen Gadol show you big day love and dafka white. Finish the sentence. Given Shambon Gambi the Mata, since the manna, even as it came down to the lowest level, Nisha b'Mohusay remained essentially what it is, because it's in Atzmi. Without limits, therefore it was white. Because of its transcendence, and that's what the Eden complained about, which you'll explain. Dafka the pshitos.
Finish the next sentence.
Huh?
Do one more line. You'll finish. Finish the next sentence.
Okay. The president says we follow. Mitzad is because of its whiteness. Let's call our time at all the taste in the world, but couldn't see it. Didn't come down to the tzir. And that's what was unsatisfying for many of them. To be continued based on Hashem. Beautiful Maimer on shall be well. Shia shall come. He'll take over.